So, hey everybody, Texicureans are here today with Cliff Dickerson and I should say Chef Cliff Dickerson. I'm so honored. I hardly ever get to cook with a chef, so this is a real honor for me today.
It's an honor to cook with you.
Oh, thank you. So glad to have you here with the Texicureans. And so today we are going to talk about fungi. Fungi has become really popular lately. There's even places people go and collect it, and then they'll have one of my friends actually has a whole dinner party with all fungi, from appetizer all the way to dessert. Every single thing is a fungi. So fungi is mushroom most commonly. That's what we all call it. This is an oyster mushroom, and that's what we're going to cook with today. Clinton, tell us a little bit about the school that you're with and what you do, because he is a chef and he is a teacher.
All right, so I teach at Augustus Escoffier Culinary School, and what we do is they get their associate's degree. So they go to culinary school, they learn the basics, and then they go out and do the real world and work in the restaurants. But I teach the farm to table class, so where they go and they work at a farm for about a day, and then they go and they cook locally sourced product, and they get to see from start to finish, and I think that's so important.
It's so important, and I know when I'm looking for a restaurant, that's probably one of my top considerations. Is it a farm-to-table restaurant?
Absolutely.
Because then you know you're going to have fresh vegetables, fresh meat, everything's going to be so much fresher.
So we're going to be making risotto today, and to spotlight the mushrooms, we're going to be doing, we're going to be using this pink oyster mushrooms that I got from the New Braunfels Farmers Market. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to cut up some onions. So we're going to get our onions started.
Is there something you'd like me to do in the meantime?
You can maybe chop up, would you like to cut the mushroom?
I'd be happy to. Is there a certain way I need to do it?
I can show you how.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's push it over here so everybody can see.
So what you're going to do is you're going to use this paring knife, and you're going to cut and try to take this little root ball off, and then you're going...
Let me show everybody. So see, there's like a root ball that's right here, and that's just what he's talking about, that we want to take that off.
We're going to take that off, and then we can separate it into little pieces, something like that, and it kind of depends on how you would like to cook it. We're probably going to cut it in half and cut it up a little bit, and I'll show you exactly. So we're going to cut right here, take that off, and then I would say we don't want to take too much and destroy the mushroom. Maybe just cut it in half. It will shrink up, but we want it to show up in the risotto. Oh. And I'm going to cut up some onions while we're doing it. And I can talk about my class that we're doing.
Love that.
And so what we do is we go to, on Mondays we go to a farm and we work. Then we talk about corn-fed versus grass-fed beef, and talk about the taste profile, the different tastes, and what they are looking for as a customer. What customers are looking for, how you can have prime steak with grass-fed beef, or how Wagyu is made, and all of that sort of stuff. So it goes in depth into the culinary background of the farmers, and going into what they do to make the food taste as well as it should, and not like a strawberry that doesn't taste like a strawberry.
Right.
Which
happens.
Absolutely, and farm to table is so important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of butter, and we're going to start to melt it, and it should not burn. We don't want the butter to burn, because we want the risotto to keep its kind of white, clear look to it. So we're going to sweat these onions, and sweating means to cook to translucent. We don't want it to be very dark, because the end product, we want a white rice. Risotto, this is arborio rice. And arborio rice is a grain that is a lot larger, and it tends to be a very starchy rice. And when you cook it, and you need to stir it, what I call a risotto is a labor of love. You have to sit there, and it's about 30 minutes of stirring.
Of bonding. You bond with your risotto.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're getting our vegetables nice and cooked, and we're gonna save the mushrooms for a little bit later on because we're gonna cook cook those in a few minutes. And when you're making risotto, you need some sort of liquid, and we're going to be using chicken stock today. And you want it nice and hot because it will help get the starches sloughed off of the arborio rice. And we're going to get our rice in to our pot, and we're going to start to stir it. I like to try to get all of the rice granules nice and covered with fat. And if you need to add a little more butter, or we've got even lard from the farmer's market, you could use that as well.
Talk to me about lard, because lard used to be taboo, and now lard is in.
Lard is amazing. It adds flavor, richness. Oh, it's amazing. Everything in moderation. So if you can moderate the lard, I mean, it just adds a hint of richness and touch. It's amazing, really is.
And how do you recommend buying lard? What would be the sourcing for lard?
I would go to a farmer's market, or you could even make it if you cut off if you use a lot of pork, you could cut off the pork and grind it up and render it down and make lard.
Okay.
My class, farm to table class, we actually make lard.
Oh.
It's actually an interesting process. So we've got our risotto right here with our onions, and we're going to slowly start to ladle in our stock. Would you like to do that?
Yeah,
it's a little warm,
it.
so please be very, very careful. And we're just gonna ladle it in, and we're gonna do that, and that's about it. That's the last ladle. We're gonna let that hydrate for just a few minutes, and we're gonna stir it.
And so how did you know how many ladles? Was it just so it was to
cover? Just to cover. You don't want to go any more because, and you can kind of see right there. And you just don't want it to cover too much because we want to create that starch. We want to stir and stir. So when you do risotto, you just got to sit here and stir and stir. And that's why sometimes making risotto is something good with a friend, because you can sit and talk.
I love that. Anytime you can turn cooking into a social affair.
Absolutely.
Got my name on it.
I completely agree. I mean, the kitchen is usually the main focus in my house. We all kind of hang out in the kitchen.
And does your wife cook with you?
Absolutely. She and I do a lot of cooking together now that we're empty nesters.
So fun.
Absolutely. Yes, and you can start to see the thickness in here. It's not as liquidy, or the viscosity has gotten a lot thicker. And that's kind of what you're looking for. And you're looking for the grains to be not so white, more translucent.
Oh.
And we want it to have a little bit of a bite to it, but not too much.
Okay. And
I think we're right there.
All right.
And I think we're getting close to the main course, and that is
this. We probably don't need this anymore.
We do not.
So we can
We do not. So I'm going to move this risotto off to the side. And just every once in a while, if you could, just give it a stir we're working on the mushrooms.
That. And so we talked a little bit about, well, first of all, we talked about using a wood spoon.
Yes.
And how you like using a wood spoon because you want to make sure those grains don't get all squishy.
Absolutely.
And you want to keep them individual.
You don't want it to basically ruin the risotto cell structure. We are going to start on the main course, and that is these beautiful mushrooms that you cut up. Thank you, they look wonderful.
Did I do okay?
You did an amazing job.
Good.
We're gonna cut up these
the
shallots, really nice and fine. Oh yes, get that lard out.
All right, and just like about a tablespoon of it,
yes, let's just get enough to make sure that there's enough, a little bit of fat in that pan. Oh, look at that beautiful
Here we go.
lard.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
I love something that has come back in style.
Oh, absolutely. Everything comes back.
Everything
I believe,
comes
right?
around.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and start to see this fat or the lard melting down. Oh, and it looks so amazing how clear it is. Oh, listen to that. That's what I call the sexy sizzle, right?
Oh,
I like that.
I'm gonna remember that.
Absolutely.
Every time I do this, I'm thinking
Absolutely.
about that.
So we're gonna just kind of get this kind of cooking, and then we're going to go ahead and if you want to put in the mushrooms, I'm going to crank up the heat a little bit and go ahead, and we're going to start to cook these mushrooms. Oh, wow. Look how beautiful this looks. So we're going to take this and we're just going to let it sit. I don't want to move it around too much because I want the Maillard reaction or the browning of the mushroom to happen.
Yeah, maybe like 3 years ago, the Texas state legislature declared Texas has its own state mushroom. This is it. It's the Texas star mushroom, so you can see about the size of it because there's somebody's hand. I took these from the Fort Worth Botanical Garden website. This is what it looks like when it's coming up. They call it Devil's Cigar. So it's kind of like this little conical type thing. And then supposedly when it opens, it hisses. So it goes like that and it pops open. And of course it is the shape of a star, and one of the only places that it's found is in Texas other than Japan. They have found some in Japan.
Really?
But Texas is the most prevalent place. And guess where they think they found the very first one?
Where?
In Austin, in like the 1890s.
Really?
Yeah. But just a lot of people didn't pay much attention to it. It's pretty rare. It's pretty hard to find. It grows supposedly on cedar elm stumps. That's what it likes, is a cedar elm for some reason.
I wonder what the flavor profile is.
You can eat it. I'm not sure. It might be. I have not seen anything that it is an elm.
I will go look and see it, and I'll let you know.
Good.
Absolutely. So we have our mushrooms, and they've kind of cooked down. And I like to use some sort of alcohol to deglaze. What I'm looking for is something that has a little. This is oak aged, and I like that oaky aged. Goes well with the mushrooms. Okay. Absolutely.
It won't cook out. The flavor won't cook out.
The flavor won't cook out, but the alcohol will cook out. You can see these mushrooms, how nice they look.
Beautiful.
Oh yes. And we are going to just kind of cook this down just a few more minutes. Okay. And we will plate it up soon.
I better go get a cute plate, huh?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The last few things that we're going to do to make these mushrooms taste amazing. I've got some fresh thyme that I just picked and I chopped. We're going to put a little bit of that right in there. And then I have some of this garlic sauce that I'm going to, just garlic puree, that I'm going to put right in there. All right, so now you can see the nice fresh mushrooms that it got a little golden brown, what I call GBD, golden brown and delicious, right here. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste, see where we're at. Oh, wow. I can't wait for you to try this. So we have our risotto right here, nice and creamy. I'm gonna get my microplane right here. We're gonna get a little bit of fresh Parmesan right up in there. Oh. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this nice risotto.
Oh
yeah.
Smells so good.
We're gonna get the star of the show now, and that is the mushrooms. We're gonna.
For you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, how
we're gonna kind of
beautiful.
Display it and get it kind of. Oh yes.
You know, this is, other than the time it takes to make the risotto, this is not a very hard dish to make.
It is not.
And yet the presentation is phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this looks like you really worked hard.
Oh, absolutely. Only 30 minutes. Only 30 minutes. And then you garnish it with a little fresh Parmesan, and voila. Amazing.
Beautiful. Wow.
Well, cheers.
Oh, cheers. Woohoo. I gotta get some of that mushroom.
Oh, absolutely.
As I'm
Get
dipping
that
this.
mushroom.
Mmm. Oh my gosh. That is amazing. So among your many aprons that I'm sure you have.
Well, here, I'm
this
gonna
is for
take.
you.
I'm gonna just go ahead and put it on.
Oh, I'm so
I'm gonna
honored.
just go ahead and put it on.
That would be a photo moment.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much.